8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Good evening, Baller Nation. It's your boys, the Shotcallers, back with another podcast episode. The date is October 22nd, 2019. And as always, we're back to talk NBA basketball. Today is officially the start of Season 2.
I was waiting for the hype in your voice.
Yeah, I got my boys with me to kick it off. To my left, I got my boy Richard.
What's going on? Season 2.
No nicknames
Looking
today.
classy
Richard
right
Nixon
now.
over here. Yeah.
Oh, he's not a crook, this guy.
No.
Clean start, so no nicknames.
I'm
Clean
not.
slate. Your nicknames will come next week. And to my right, I got my boy Andre West.
We're good.
We're good. That's it.
Are you excited?
Let's go.
I'm good with
Are you
that.
ready to party?
Yeah, I'm super excited, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The day we've all been waiting for.
There's actually a game going on right now while
I
we
know.
record,
Yeah,
so
there is a game going on.
we
The
need to
Raptors
record and
versus the
go catch up. Go ahead.
The
We need to
Raptors
record and go
versus
catch
the
Pelicans right now.
versus the Pelicans.
No Zion, unfortunately.
No Zion. I guess we'll jump right into it.
Yeah.
News.
Yeah, that's
Rich.
the first piece of news, I guess. What, Zion being injured?
Zion is out.
Torn meniscus.
Yeah, torn meniscus in his right knee. Out 6 to 8 weeks. Initially, indications were that it wasn't very serious. He felt some tightness in his right knee. I guess they were hoping to get a better news than they did. It was actually a removal of the meniscus, which allows it to heal a little bit faster. But if I'm no medical expert,
I'm
but
not a
essentially it removes the cushion. It's like a cushion, the meniscus.
So you got a lot of
essentially,
bone
on
on
the knee.
bone going
Yeah.
on there. So that's Dwayne Wade, right?
Yeah, exactly. What do you think? How do you think that bodes for a guy his size? Because that is what makes him unique.
I don't think there's a precedent, right? I personally didn't watch a lot of Zion playing basketball in high school or in college. I try not to be an NBA elitist, but it's just the most intriguing for me to watch. So I was really excited to see him on the court against the best competition and the highest level defenders,
Right.
seeing if he can knock people around. And he was knocking Rudy Gobert off his feet.
Yeah,
so,
Rudy
He's
Gobert.
got a lot of power.
You know,
yeah.
and he's 6'6", so you can say you wanted to slim down and preserve his body for the coming years or whatever, but it's year one. So
we
who's
got to
say-
make sure there's more years after this, too,
right? But
so.
it's the first injury he's had like this. It's not as though he had a year missed in college or a year missed in high school before this. His body's been durable up to this point, and nobody would have guessed somebody like LeBron would be so durable for so long. Once Blake Griffin had his major knee, I think, injury in his first season, he missed the entire season, but he never missed an entire season after that. Joel Embiid had an injury like that. Ben Simmons, they were extra cautious with. So, I mean, there's a precedent of, injury like that on big guys like that with knees that are under a lot of pressure, but I'm just kind of remaining on the hopeful side and on the disappointed side because I was ready for seeing his debut.
Yeah. No pun intended, but I think it was a knee-jerk reaction to say that he needs to lose weight. That's what I heard a lot of people say, that it's the weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Pelicans have come out and said that it wasn't a weight thing. They're still kind of the jury is still out is on what exactly caused the meniscus to tear.
They can say what they want, but I saw the beignet dust on his mouth.
Yeah, I think it's premature, and I think it's irresponsible to say that he just needs to lose weight because, to Rich's point, that is what makes him,
so unique.
Yeah, so unique. And I think that it obviously a shock to the Pelicans, right? A shot in the knees.
An arrow to the knee.
It's an arrow to the knee for the Pelicans to not be able to see Zion premiere tonight. What do you think, Andre? Does this take them out of the playoff picture? They were on the
I think
fringe.
it definitely kind of they were, like you said, they were on the fringe to make the playoffs to begin with. So losing Zion, him being out 6 to 8 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna like you can't afford to lose games, especially in the West with how competitive it is.
Well, I think it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks, but I think it's definitely going to be 8 weeks. If you
and
look back to previous meniscus injuries or tears, like even Russell Westbrook, it's going to take the full 8 weeks.
Yeah, which leads me to my next question, Rich. Do you go ahead and write it out and say, hey, we're going to take the full 8 weeks and then still take a while to ease him in?
I mean,
possibly hold him off for half the season. Some people were talking maybe the whole season to take precautionary since this year is essentially shot. What do you think? What do you do? You're GM Richard Bustos of the Pelicans right now. You take over. You replace David Griffin, and you get to decide what we do with.
I think I would ease him in. I'd bring him in as soon as he feels like he's super ready to go, and the doctors clear him. I'd let him play without a minutes restriction, but put him on a sort of a no back-to-backs kind of load management kind of thing. But I still want him to play because I want to know who I'm going to keep around him for the coming years. So
Right.
play with confidence, and we have to get information out of the season. We're not going to punt it. They signed guys like JJ Redick and kept on Drew Holiday and brought in Derek Favors to see what best works with him, and you can't just punt that time.
And I'll come right back to you, Rich. So, Andre, you said no playoffs?
Yeah, no playoffs. And even then, like, they've got two other injury-prone players with Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram. So they're going to have to play it careful regardless. Either way,
quick little fact. If that is indeed the case, that means that the JJ Redick streak of playoff appearances is going to end at
15
or 16? 15, I believe.
Yeah, he said, don't fuck this up for me, Zion.
Yeah, and it's over before it even started.
Yeah.
I don't know. They could play super hot. Brandon Ingram could explode.
They have a lot of talent. They're very deep. I mean, you got guys on the third lineup that could probably be, 6 men or even start on some teams. But before you make that comment, Rich, I want to go back to what you said last week over Brandon Ingram. Does this at least is the shining light on this whole Zion debacle? It's just an injury, but is the bright side to this that now you can throw Brandon Ingram out there and build his value to make him a trade piece at the deadline?
You can do that, and also you don't have to have that question of who comes off the bench, Brandon Ingram or JJ Redick. They're both starting now.
Yeah,
exactly. And they get to benefit from the space that he provides. I think you're going to see a lot of mid-range jumpers from Brandon Ingram, and if they're falling for him at the beginning of the season, they definitely can punch their way into some games that teams weren't expecting a fight in. They still have quality players. Drew Holiday is the star of the team as much as Zion is, and so if they're playing a team in week 4 of the season, week 5 of the season that was scouting, but then they're like, oh no, Zion, we don't got to worry so much, and then they hit him in the mouth with a healthy team, with Lonzo Ball stays healthy and people play well. I think they definitely can, and I think that they are going to try to increase Brandon Ingram's trade value as much as they can, or see if he's going to stick around and see how his health is. So
I think, all things considered, even without Zion, they should still be a pretty fun team to watch. You got Lonzo Ball pushing the ball up. They're going to be playing pretty fast.
Yeah,
shooters out there, so it's going to be fun to watch.
So money on the table, Rich. Brandon Ingram doesn't end the season as a Pelican.
I think if you had to put some stakes on it, I would say he's gonna get traded.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So. Heard it here first, guys. So that, again, huge hype killer, right? Because we were looking forward to seeing Zion. Not gonna see him for at least 2 months, maybe more than that.
They were slated for a bunch of national games here at the beginning of the season.
I think they had like 14 or 16, something crazy like that.
Does the NBA ever bust an NFL and
No, there's
flex
no flex
flip
it and be like, sorry.
They need to.
Oh well, I think they flex some games onto NBA TV, and they let people vote and see who they want to see the most. So that's technically national TV.
Yeah.
But they don't just yank the Bulls off the TNT slots.
That's one thing that the NFL does right, man.
That is a cool thing.
If anybody watched Monday Night Football yesterday, God.
Hey, man, some people like watching defense.
Cool. Next on the news block is going to be the extension of Buddy Hield. The Kings have offered him 4 years. What is that? $94 million contract with about $12 million in incentives.
There were a bunch of extensions this week, but that's one that I thought was really cool. Some things rub me the wrong way whenever a player wants to use the media to communicate with their team. Whereas, you look sideways if a general manager wanted to use the media to throw shade at a player for not wanting to commit or something like that. When during that pickup game, Kings versus Kings at the
and he was like
at the Kings Arena, and he said, "Give me my money, Vlade," and Vlade just kind of laughed it off and played it off, appropriately. But coming across that 6 p.m. Monday deadline, they ended up agreeing to it. You said $94 million?
$94 million
base,
with about $12 million in incentives.
And things that he can hit. Like he's got to get
there's an easy one in there.
Over 80% free throw percentage.
Yeah, if he does over 80% free throw and he plays at least 70 games, he gets like an extra $1.5 million.
And he was really durable last year. So a really bright spot with his shooting percentage last year. He broke the record, I think, when he was a rookie for most threes.
Most threes by a rookie.
By a rookie made as well. So super promising.
Whose record did he break?
He broke Damian Lillard's record previously, and so that's really cool. I think the least promising thing that happened to him in the past year was when he aged a whole year.
I just thought of a corny nickname for Buddy Hield.
But
they call Lillard Logo Lillard.
and Buddy is.
They can call him like Hield or something like that.
Half-field Hield.
Keep working on the
Chug it from
nicknames for
Half-Field.
next week. But
It's a chord.
But I'm really up on the signing. I think it's really good. I mean, you're gonna pay guys like Trevor Ariza to come to the team to try to win now. You know, pay your young guys too. And that deal declines. It's the highest in this season.
Yeah,
And then it goes
it's
down,
front loaded, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just like Harrison Barnes too. So
Yeah.
both of those deals will be decreasing when it's time to pay.
Yeah,
De'Aaron
2021 they'll
Lines
be
up
good.
perfectly
And
with
Marvin
those
Bagley,
rookies
so-
that they with those back-to-back
Yeah.
rookies they drafted.
Exactly. So I'm up on it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Sacramento did the right thing. Like Buddy's the type of player you can't afford to let him walk,
And, like,
especially if you're trying to win.
you're
Like
not-
he's the perfect complimentary piece
He's
for
definitely in his prime. He's 26 years old, so
Yeah.
he'll be turning 30 at the end of this deal. I think it's
It's time for him to make his money.
bargain in my opinion.
and you're not signing, marquee free agents already, and it's
Right.
only gonna look worse if you just let this man roll. So.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, if you would have let him go into free agency, he
No
would have
one's going
demanded
there,
that
yeah.
max money anyway. I feel like, and there's gonna be plenty of teams to pay him, particularly because the 2020 free agency is not very hot.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
theme.
He
with
would have been the number one, like
right.
number one signing.
Number
yeah.
one name.
That's the theme with all the ones that were signed on Monday. They're gonna get more money later. You better lock it up right now. These
Yeah.
guys want to get paid.
Yep.
What other extensions we got?
Jaylen Brown got
Jaylen
extended.
Brown got his.
I
Yeah.
think his was 110.
So these are a bunch
Was
of
it
team
110?
options that got
Is that- yeah.
picked up, right? Or is that an actual extension?
No, these are all extensions.
Oh,
so
okay.
Let me pull
Yeah.
up the list right now.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown, Sabonis.
Sabonis as well.
Sabonis as well.
That one
yeah.
was a little bit surprising to me because of the friction.
Yeah,
that
everyone
was-
thought he was gonna get dealed because you got him and Turner kind of overlapping. So you don't know how they're gonna mix up. Well.
Miles Turner.
Yeah.
because now they're starting together, and
Yeah.
the big thing is that Miles Turner is a really defensive presence, led the league in blocks last year,
Yeah.
and
Sabonis-
Sabonis, he's not very good on defense. Really good on offense, very crafty, but he doesn't do well guarding guys on the perimeter. So Miles Turner will go out and kind of fill in the holes and try to back him up, but that takes him away from the rim where he's obviously prolific and really good on defense and communicating. So that's
Gotcha.
kind of they're going to play together if you're going to pay them both, right? They're both going to start. One guy's not going to come off the bench.
Well,
Yeah.
Miles Turner's deal has 3 years left on it.
I believe so.
I believe
Yeah,
so, yeah.
and Sabonis signed a 4-year, $77 million.
Ooh.
So yeah.
Well-
yeah. Pacers are buckling down.
They must believe in what they're trying to do over there in Indiana.
yeah.
So
They'll make the playoffs. So
it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, at the end of the season, I'm not going to have anybody to pay, so I might as well lock down the guys I like. I feel like
Right.
that's kind of the reaction to that. You see all these guys getting extended. It's like, okay, obviously, I'm not saying they had their eyes on anybody like Buddy Hield or anything. It's possible, but it really poses the question, like, what do all these salary cap strapped teams do now?
yeah, I mean, like, there's not really any good free agents out there for people to like spend their money on anyway right now. So unless you're moving players around to trade up for someone like Chris Paul or something, you don't really have too many options. But
Yeah, that's for sure. And so to round out the ones that we've mentioned so far, Jaylen Brown,
115, yeah. Right.
Yep. Yeah, 150. Oh, I thought it was 110. 115. Dejounte Murray, 4 years, $64 million.
Yeah, I saw that one. That's
And so that's, not typical Spurs, but not surprising coming from the Spurs. Even though he's coming off an injured season, they're not afraid to commit to their guys and develop them. We know how good their
and
developmental
Pop was
system
very
is.
high on him anyway last season before he got injured.
Yeah.
So it made sense.
Feels like the Spurs usually get their guy they want. They usually get an extension with kind of like a hometown discount. Or
You don't see people leaving.
Yeah, you don't see guys just be like, oh,
Hey,
yeah,
man.
you know what? I don't
And
wanna
then
stay
you
with
get the
Spurs.
one guy.
Well, Tim Duncan almost left,
He
guys.
almost left.
He almost
You
left.
guys you guys talking about Kawhi Leonard? I
No,
get that.
I'm talking about Tim Duncan.
Oh,
though. I'm
gotcha.
saying he almost took off to Orlando. He was about to sign the paper.
Doc Rivers wouldn't let him take
Yeah.
his family on the plane. That was the one
Yep.
thing.
Doc Rivers still gets flack for that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because Tim Duncan was like, "Can I bring my family on the plane?"
Doc
And
was like, no,
was like,
players only,
we,
baby.
but yeah, he said we don't really do that, and everybody was like, "Just say yes. You can say no later."
Wow.
And Tim Duncan was like, "Oh, okay. I guess I'll stay."
Yeah,
on the
once
Spurs."
the X is inked,
Yeah, you
once-
can pull the rug out if you want to.
Yeah, exactly.
But to get
Can you
Tim
imagine
Duncan-
that'd be the funniest kind of subscript on a
NBA
contract?
sitcom or something? Oh.
I can bring my family on
Well,
the jet.
that's
Well,
the
like-
thing. Like, top players can decide things like that all the
Yeah.
time.
Like Michael Jordan had the love for the game clause. He could pick up games against anyone because I know most NBA players aren't
allowed to
yeah.
pick up or something during the
Yeah.
season, of course,
Yeah.
too. And I was saying that team star players can just kind of dictate whatever they want, like staying in one city an extra day overnight,
Mhm.
kind of like LeBron James wants to stay in Miami an extra day here or there, or Dirk, things like that. The last one is going to be Taurean Prince. So for the Nets, Not exactly the most highly touted rookie. Oh, as a rookie, he was actually very highly touted.
I liked him in Atlanta.
Yeah, but, people really think he's really good on defense. I thought that his defense really slipped.
I just love how bouncy he is, dude. He can get up.
He looks good. He's athletic, but he gets lost on assignments a lot.
Yeah,
And if you go over to visit
He's flashy though.
a website that I frequent sometimes, Peachtree Hoops, the writers there aren't a big fan of him either way. But he's young, a lot of upside, and I think he'll thrive with really good players around him like Kyrie Irving and
Kevin Durant,
of course. So they'll get to develop him and get rights to sign him for longer later. So. Yep. Doesn't hurt, that's for sure.
Cool. Yep. Next piece of news is going to be an interview. Andre, you got a little bit more. I think you actually watched the interview.
So I read the article about it. But there was an interview with Steve Kerr who pretty much said that Klay Thompson is not likely to come back this season to compete with the Warriors. Now, I don't know if you said that just to, suspend.
Quell the rumors.
Yeah, quell all the rumors from all the journalists saying, where's Klay? When's Klay coming? Is he playing? So I think the Warriors, especially after how things went in the finals, they're comfortable with taking their time with Klay, and this is gonna be an intense run either way. With trying to make the playoffs this season, with just how rough the West is in general. So them trying to force him, especially after a 5-year run like that, could be a little overexerting. So I don't know. How do you guys feel? This will impact the Warriors' playoff chances or a chance to complete for a title?
Well, I don't think it'll impact it at all, really. I mean, of course, not having him will, but I didn't expect him to play until almost April anyway. They're going to be conservative with him, I would think. And so that's the number one strategy that I think players should just do it more often. Like Anthony Davis last season should have just said, I'm not talking about free agency until free agency, so you can stop asking me. That's what Kawhi Leonard did.
But Anthony Davis
I'm here to play for this team.
He had an agenda.
Yeah, but I'm saying in another situation, if you really don't. Kawhi Leonard had it down pat. Hey, I'm not talking about this right now. You didn't hear him pester the questions all season long. So that's what I'm up on. And they did leave the door open. Like if he feels like he's close to 100 or 100%, really, the rehab has gone swimmingly well. That Steve Kerr said, we could play him in that instance, but we're going to go ahead and just announce him out for the season. This isn't the NFL where you can be on injured reserve and you're not eligible to return during that season. So.
Yeah, I like that too, because no one, I don't want to hear about speculation, all that stuff, and constantly wondering about whether a guy's going to be there or not. I guess it's better just to, understand and know ahead of time. This is what you're going up against. If it changes, cool.
Yeah, you want to under promise, and then if it happens, it's good. That's
great. I think it'll be one of those situations, and we all know Klay's
will to perform.
Yeah, his will and he's just, he's a warrior. But
fiery competitor.
Yeah, we saw what he did last year when he got hurt. He tore his ACL. He went back out there, shot the free throw. So I think Klay is going to dictate that more than anybody. And I think if I had to put money on it, I think he does come back, because as soon as he feels good, he's going to want to get back on that court. Yeah. And it's very realistic that he follows that 6-month timeline. Everybody talks about ACLs, 6-month injury, and that's true, because they have some of the best doctors, and these guys are in amazing shape.
Well, and
they
those
put
are
in
the
work.
Exceptions too.
Exactly. And so I feel like Klay would be the exception. I feel like Klay would be the guy that puts the work in every single day. We're talking 2 months ago. He's I don't know if it was in China or Canada. I can't remember. It was at an event.
Shooting from a chair already.
Yeah. Well, no. I think it was at NBA World in Orlando or something like that. Whatever that's called down there at Disneyland. I think they opened up that NBA. Anyway, but he was at an event and he was jumping, he was shooting threes from full hop.
Yeah.
So that was a big deal. So I think if anybody's gonna be the exception, like you're saying, in 6 months, it would be Klay Thompson, and particularly if they're in contention, I could see him pushing his way back in and saying, "I want to play."
Yeah.
And they're gonna have to do it because they just paid this man how much? I don't know. It's like give him the max.
Yeah,
that's all I know.
Oh.
Well, anything else on the docket for the news?
I think that was it. That's all the injuries, all the signings.
Cool. So a lot of news to lead into the season. As we said, there's actually the first game of the season is ongoing right now. So we're gonna move on to the next topic so that we can go catch that game. What we're gonna do today is we're gonna give you guys our picks for playoff contenders. So the 8 teams in the East, the 8 teams in the West that we think are gonna make the playoffs. We'll rank them. And then we're also going to give you our NBA awards before the season starts, our preseason NBA awards preview. So Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Sixth Man, and MVP. Who wants to kick it off on their Eastern Conference rankings?
So Andre?
Yeah, I'll go. All right, so y'all already know I'm big on the Sixers. So.
Yeah, let's start off top to
fuck
bottom.
works
I
in
think
that?
the bottom's a little more interesting than the top.
Yeah, because I mean, it's Sixers. Both y'all have Sixers Nuggets, right? Top 2 in the East.
No,
Did you say Nuggets?
Or not
mean
Nuggets.
Bucks?
I'm sorry, Bucks. Sorry.
I was like, what is
Sixers
happening?
Nuggets, yeah.
We're
Yeah,
expanding.
finals. I mean,
We're-
hey, that's a respectable.
We're expanding the league to
Yeah.
32 teams and swapping
Yeah, right.
conferences.
My bad. Sixers Bucks. So I got Sixers at 1. I mean, obviously that can go either way between the Sixers and the Bucks, but I think the Sixers are going to have a historic level defense. They're so big and they can actually run small as well. Embiid's not going to have to play so much effort or play so many minutes and focus as much on defense just because they have Al Horford, who's also a good defensive center so they can split the minutes between Embiid and Horford. So he'll get a lot more rest there. So I think overall with all that and then the improvements between the rest of the team and then the addition of Josh Richardson.
So you have them at 1?
Yeah, I have them at 1.
I have Milwaukee at 1.
You have Milwaukee? Yeah, so
Yeah, I think just,
preference between those two.
Yeah, and I think with Milwaukee, I think Giannis is going to just keep improving. He's going to shoot with more, he's going to shoot more willingly and actually be better at it. I'm sure he's gotten a million shots up in practice, all offseason long. And even though they lost some key guys, I think George Hill's going to return and play well. And I think they're going to work well. I think the loss of Brogdon isn't as big as it might seem, even though he's a really quality player and would be good on a lot of teams. I think they're going to roll to the 1 seed mainly because their guys are going to stay healthy. I think Brook and Robin Lopez will play at the same time and actually be like more effective than you might think as a good
crazy.
wrinkle in
Got
the
some twin synergy going on.
as a good wrinkle in the game plan. But really the reason I give them the 1 seed is that I think Philadelphia is going to be really scary, really good. But I think they're going to be a little bit cautious as far as like the games and minutes go for Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
I think they did give him a great replacement with Al Horford on the bench, so their time when he goes to the bench isn't going to be like minus 90 like it was against the Raptors in the playoffs, which was insane. They need to have some kind of solution here. But that being said, they're not afraid to take him off the court, so he'll be off a little bit more to sustain his muscles, his health, and stuff like that. So
yeah, and I don't want to harper too much on this, but I think another thing to consider in that is like the Bucks, they are the tried and true method. They killed it in the preseason. They already know like what the game plan is. I think the Sixers are going to have they're going to take a little bit more time, to transition, figure out how the offensive stuff works.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that amount of games could be the difference between first and second seed. So I can see that going either way, but I still like the Sixers. How about you, JV?
You have a third
I'm
result
going-
for us?
huh?
You have a third?
No. I agree. I'm going with the Bucks at number 1. And a very simple approach to this. Both teams lost a key player, but who lost the bigger player? And it's going to be the Sixers. They lost Jimmy Butler. Andre, you've mentioned how much you like his ISO play, and sometimes you need that. You just need somebody who's going to get you a bucket, which we don't know what Ben Simmons is going to look like yet, right?
Or Tobias Harris.
We would love to say that Ben Simmons is going to improve his perimeter game, but it may very well be that he didn't, right?
Yeah.
And so I got to take what I've seen from last season, and if you're going to rely on Tobias Harris to be your primary outside scorer. They lost JJ.
Josh Richardson can shoot.
Yeah, they lost JJ Redick, which let's not act like that's not one of the best, 3-point shooters, perimeter shooters.
He's really good. He's really good force
really
placer.
Huge way that they started a lot of their offensive sets. With
Exactly.
Our JJ
Dribble
Redick doing a
handoffs
dribble
with Redick,
handoff
yeah.
around Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
So.
And the Bucks, they lost Malcolm Brogdon, but let's be real. The primary way they scored was they had a strong defense and they scored in transition.
Mm-hmm.
And Giannis's field goal percentage is astronomical, and people are gonna say, "Oh, he just dunks all the time."
Well, that's what you want.
Like
That's
he's
not a
efficient.
knock.
Yeah, it's not a knock. It's efficient. He can get to the basket. I think Richard is correct. His conviction. There's no lack of conviction when it comes to shooting from the perimeter. And I know I just said Ben Simmons. Who's to say that he's gonna get better? But
Giannis was doing it.
Giannis
last
was
season.
already
Yeah.
doing it,
Yeah.
so he's in a much better position, and I believe that it left a bad taste in his mouth the way he lost last season.
Unleash Pat Connaughton on
So-
the fast break.
Yeah,
Do
so,
it.
So I think that is why the Milwaukee Bucks will keep a stronghold in the East and take that number 1 seed. And then of course at number 2, I'll go ahead and move to my number 2. I have the Sixers. I do agree that they're the second best team in the East. I do hope that Ben Simmons elevates his perimeter game because I do want to have. I feel like it's healthy for the league to have multiple guys that are vying for that MVP. That MVP status, and I think Ben Simmons has all the makings of that. We've talked about it a lot. I'm not quite a believer yet because I'm really I want to see it before I say. I've never been a fan of saying if he could only shoot,
Yeah.
that's the number one thing in the NBA: shooting, scoring, right? And he can be great at all these other things, but there's a big reason why a guy like Lou Williams isn't a starter and he's a sixth man. And no knock on Lou Williams, right? But if he played better defense, if he was better if he banged harder on the boards,
when you have such a glaring weakness, it's easy for other teams to
exactly.
exploit you.
So
Yeah.
I think that's what keeps him from being that level. No, I don't think none of us put him in our top 5. I didn't even put him in like my top 10.
But yeah,
because it is such a huge knock to him, right? And that's not a lack of talent. It's just
and he does so many things well. You know?
Exactly.
So I guess the most interesting part of these standings isn't really the randomness of the 7 and 8, but 3 through 8 are kind of a toss up after these first 2, right?
Yeah.
That's why we have the similar ones. I wonder if we have the same ones for 3 and 4.
So, Rich, who'd you go with number 2? You also went with
2. I had Philly as well.
Philly, and I might have believed that Andre, you went with
Bucks.
at 2.
Yeah.
Cool. So not too much of a difference. I think the 1 and 2 is really a toss up, but I think if we're looking at standings, you got to look at who's going to hold the test of time throughout the season. We still don't know how many games Joel Embiid's going to play, and we still don't know what Ben Simmons' perimeter game looks like. I just know that they lost one of the best ISO players in the league, and that's going to be hard to replace.
But they also didn't have him the entire season as well. So you also got to factor those in. Like they didn't have him the whole time. They didn't have Tobias Harris in them as well. So
that's true.
With a whole off season worth of
and
time to
a
gel,
training camp, yeah.
We'll see.
But it'll be interesting.
Who do you have at 3?
So number 3. This one might be a little different from the rest of y'all. I actually have the Miami Heat.
Oh, I have
very
the Raptors.
high on the Miami Heat. I also have the Raptors.
Okay.
You have the Raptors?
Yeah, you can go
That's
tell us
interesting. Yeah,
you can tell us about the Heat if you want.
My Raptors aren't that high on mine. You have the Heat at 3. I like Jimmy Butler, and I actually feel like Miami Heat have a lot of assets, so I can see them maybe making a trade towards the trade deadline for maybe Chris Paul, someone else.
There's not a lot of people after that.
Kevin Love,
because they might need a point guard.
Kevin Love, Blake Griffin, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they would need a point guard.
But
So
even without that, like I feel like they're.
Don't you feel like for that to happen, they would have to get off to a hard start? And feel
I think
like
they're going to get off
one
to a
piece
very
away?
good start.
Is it Jimmy? Jimmy, you feel like Jimmy's going to return to
Well,
Chicago Bulls, Jimmy?
Yeah,
Ready to
there's
take over?
Jimmy. Like they got an excellent piece in Tyler Hero, who's like a really good shooter. He can shoot off the dribble on his own. Like he can create a shot. He's very smart. Runs good cuts.
I just don't want to call him preseason hero in a few weeks.
Yeah,
And
like a lot. I'm
and
pretty
Goran
big on him.
Dragic is a good
Dragic
player.
is
Yeah,
an
that's
2
excellent
years ago,
playmaker
he had
as
his
well.
first All-Star game. He still has the smarts. He's got some defensive tenacity, in shape.
And they have Goran Dragic. They have Justice Winslow. They have multiple ball handlers
Bam
who can create their
Adebayo.
own shot, score. Kelly Olynyk, who can help stretch the floor for them whenever they need a little bit more space.
I think he's gonna be the one that gets the most on Jimmy Butler's nerves because we know.
Oh,
Jimmy
I can
Butler,
see that. Yeah.
Jimmy Butler's a diva, So I wonder how it'll take to. I think he's loving the culture down there, but I wonder if he's gonna be the guy that for whatever reason Jimmy's not getting along with.
Yeah.
For
I
whatever
have
reason.
for some reason I just feel like they would get along. It's
You think so?
weird, yeah.
Maybe
But,
maybe they both like country music.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I'm high on the Heat. I think they can do well. Like even if they don't make a trade, I feel like they'll be one of the better teams in the East. I can see them making top 4.
You want to go, Rich? I can go.
Well, the Raptors, I just think that the
Oh, we're
continuity.
talking about your number 3.
Yeah, and I remember the continuity, the veterans that they have, Marc Gasol, Kyle Lowry. I think extending Kyle Lowry one more year is going to make it so that at least most of the season they're really going to kind of go for it and see how well they can do, bask in the championship glory. They're getting there. Is tonight the ring ceremony?
Actually, so you mentioned Kyle Lowry. I don't mean to go back and steal your time, but he's one of the potential candidates I can see making his way to the Heat if they don't do well.
way.
If they don't end up doing
extended
well.
him.
Well, I don't think.
Yeah,
they
but they could
But
still.
he's not sentimental like that.
Yeah.
He traded DeMar DeRozan
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, you're
of
talking about
course.
Masai.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can see him making his
Well,
way.
I feel like the only scenario in which that happens is if the Raptors
Don't do well.
and I find that very hard to believe in this Eastern Conference. And I'll talk a little bit about
They'll
why
be
I
a
picked the
playoff team.
Raptors.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody talks about Kawhi Leonard. They lost Kawhi Leonard. I think we get lost in the fact that Kawhi Leonard carried them through the playoffs. But when we're talking about standings,
did well
they're
without
a
him,
very
too,
good
yeah.
regular season team. Kawhi Leonard didn't play 22 games.
Yeah,
They lost Danny Green too, though.
Yeah.
Part of
Yeah,
that,
that's true.
Part of that are the teams that they chose to not play Kawhi against. They weren't the best teams that they were playing, but your point still stands true. They had a great 2A
Like
and
the-
2B in Pascal and Kyle Lowry, and you would think Pascal's going to jump forward. What were you going to say, Andre? Just now?
Pretty
Okay.
much the same thing you just said.
Yeah, so that's part of it. And then I'm really not to give anybody a tip off as to what's coming later, but I'm high on OG Anunoby coming back.
The boy OG.
Oh yeah, a lot of people forget about him, man. He was
lanky, tall. He'd belong right on the Philadelphia 76ers.
Looking real
Fred
nice.
Senior, man, I forgot.
He was like a real nice. He's I think his athleticism, and it's very generic to say, oh, somebody's an athlete. These guys are all athletes, but
he's an athlete compared to NBA
the
players.
rest of the NBA players. Like I think I don't have the number in front of me, but I'm willing to bet he's got one of the better defensive ratings in the games he did play, and so I think that'll help them. They'll be they won't be quite as strong on defense as Philly, but I think it'll be one of the things that we know them for this season. And then on offense, I'm interested to see.
So you got them at 3 too as well.
I have them at 3 as well.
Okay.
I'm interested to see what the starting lineup is going to look like because I honestly don't know what that's going to look like.
I think it's going to be they're sliding Fred.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Fred
Going
to the
small.
starting lineup.
Yeah.
I wish we can watch it.
We will soon. We'll have an update for you guys on our Instagram page during this week, and then
For
of
sure,
course
for
for next week's episode.
Definitely. Who do you have at 4, Rich?
All right, let's see if we're the same again. 1.
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
I had it written down. Sorry.
Who do you get for
Oh,
4?
I know what I have. Sorry. I don't know why I did.
We'll all say it 1-3.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Indiana
Pacers.
Pacers.
Oh,
I have Pacers.
I have the Pacers.
Y'all can go
definitely.
ahead and I'll, I guess, rebuke.
So the Pacers, I feel like I go back to this a lot, but they maintained a winning record without Victor Oladipo. It wasn't quite enough to hold off the Celtics last year. The Celtics ultimately took the 4 seed. So I think with Victor Oladipo back, they'll stay in that top 4. And they added some depth. You know, they got Bojan, who is an excellent. No, sorry, they had Bojan. They lost Bojan.
Yeah.
They added Brogdon.
Yeah.
And who's a huge 3-and-D guy, so he still gives you that 3, you know, that
Good
efficiency
decisions.
from the perimeter from the 3, but he brings an additional form of defense, which I think if we're kind of seeing the trend here, the East is going to be big on defense. So these teams are going to be battling it out. They're going to be real scrappy.
It's gonna be a rock fight.
It's going to be like the trenches, right?
It's gonna look like my pickup game.
Yeah.
Trenches of the
Bricks.
East.
And so
man.
you're gonna have to rely on those guys who can shoot in transition. And we think back to the Bucks last year. Brogdon had a lot of his success when they would turn the ball over. They were going down the court, you know, and of course, Giannis looks scary as fuck coming down the floor. They don't have anybody quite that scary. Although Oladipo, depending on how he comes back, he is very swift.
Yeah.
And so you still got to watch out. You still got to get back on defense quick. And he's smart. He knows how to find the open man. And then Brogdon can shoot from the corner. He shoots from the wing too. I mean, he's kind of a wing guy. I hate that term, wing guy. I don't know why I just said it, but he can shoot from the perimeter. So I think they're gonna have a lot of success with that. And I don't see why the Pacers wouldn't be in the top 4.
I have them as the 8th seed, so I know Andre has them as the 4, so he can bring us back up after I kind of voice my
Shit
concerns.
on him.
I think voice my concerns is what I was gonna say. No, I just don't know if that DeMontis starting lineup, you know, Miles Turner vying for position and having that, how that affects the defense, and then the timetable is undetermined as to when Victor Oladipo comes back, and so he's got to not only come back, but he's got to play himself back into shape.
Yeah.
He had all summer long and that season where he played against LeBron and lost in 7 games to come back and be superhuman and look so svelte and swift, to borrow JB's word. And so I think they're going to be good, but I think they're going to have to fight their way from not 11, 10, 9 territory, or be at the 5-6 mark, but then have a big losing slide. Because those teams are all jumbled up, you know, anywhere between 10 to 3 can be all close in the years past. So I think they're going to have to kind of have a race at the deadline to get into the playoffs. And they'll be the victors of that.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be tough sledding until they get Victor Oladipo back in place. And I think it's that simple. So
Who'd you have at 4 then?
so for 4, I had the Miami Heat. So I'm high on them too. Yeah. So you were talking about the Pacers though. Who are you most excited to see? Really?
This Pacers placement is going to hinge on Oladipo coming back healthy. Because if he's not, they don't really have that guy. Like Malcolm Brogdon, he's a great piece to have, but he's not a good first option for
the
a
second
career.
facilitator.
Yeah. So it's going to hinge on Oladipo come back. Like JV touched on a lot of things. Brogdon creating defense, be able to shoot, but he's a decent shot creator as well. You don't want him to be the only one though. You got the defense from Miles Turner.
Dude, you could have double drag screens with Sabonis and Turner with Brogdon going around. You know, making one guy pops, the other guy rolls. Man, that's gonna look nice.
They got plenty of shooters with Doug McDermott, Sabonis as well. And if Oladipo comes back healthy,
I just
it's
feel like
a lot of attention. Yeah,
I just feel like they can weather the storm until he comes back, just because of what they showed me in that last quarter of the season.
Yeah,
Like I said, they still had a winning record. They were still beating quality teams. It's not like they were just whooping on the bottom of the East,
Mhm.
and they could have been the 4 seed. I mean, literally, it was like 2 games difference between them and the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, there could be 2 games difference between the 4 and the 8. You know?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if they get Oladipo even a third of the way through, they can make a strong run, and I feel like they'll ultimately, because you don't have to face those Raptors that they had to face.
I like them
Raptors
confidently.
got a little bit weaker, even though I did put them at 3.
If Oladipo comes back healthy,
It's just tough.
It's hard. It's like Richard says, man. They're gonna be close.
At the beginning of the season, everyone's trying. The Magic from 2 years ago, everybody was like, Jesus Christ, why are they shooting all these threes? They're looking so good. Aaron Gordon was like, these dudes just aren't ready for us.
Yeah, this is our time.
And
And
they kind
then
of fell off a
bam.
cliff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Remember that?
we're here.
All right, so that was the 4 seeds.
Okay, so you had the Heat at number 4.
4, yeah. And so we talked about them already.
Yeah.
So you want to do the 5 now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's do
so
more.
on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Celtics.
Boston.
Yeah, it's Celtics.
Everybody has Boston. Okay, so we're in consensus.
Wait, I thought you said. Oh, you said 4 Heat?
4,
Okay.
yeah, and then
Alright.
5 Boston. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Celtics.
Yeah, they did extend Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown makes good decisions on offense. He's not like a guy that's going to create his own shot, but great on defense, makes smart decisions. Gordon Hayward just has to inch a little closer to being a little
He's
better.
been pretty aggressive and athletic in the preseason, so hopefully that it's the preseason, but hopefully that'll translate to the regular season.
Yeah,
if he's good.
dunking without fear.
Oh,
Let's see how good they can make Enes Kanter look. They make a lot of dudes look good over there on the Celtics. You've seen guys go to other teams, Evan Turner, and just drop a goose egg whenever they get to wherever they were after they leave Steven's system. So maybe the reverse can be true of Enes
I wouldn't
Kanter.
say that only the Celtics make you feel look good.
But that is a team.
yeah,
that
but
people
I think he looked good on the Portland in the playoffs. They might have gotten
this year, but the first year he got there, he
Sometimes,
wasn't looking good.
He's kind of
It
hard
was
headed.
a
Like
sharp-
you can live or die by him, man.
yeah, it was a sharp drop off that first year.
I feel like he's matured a lot.
I mean, you're probably right, but I'm still saying that
Richard's like,
I'm
nah.
saying that the Celtics can do that.
Okay,
That's what I'm
so we're
saying.
not gonna give Enes Kanter any credit if he
He
looks
gets
good.
credit.
If
He
he
looks
looks
good on the
good,
Portland Trailblazers, but he looked bad on the Knicks. He looked bad on the Thunder. Like he looked
everybody
bad
looks bad on the Knicks, Rich.
on the set the Thunder too.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
I mean,
so-
defense
Wasn't
is
he a
always going to
backup,
be a
though?
problem for him.
yeah, looking bad.
But look, he looked really good in Portland when he was the starter.
which is good.
he might not start. Who
I'm
knows
saying
if
that the
he's gonna start,
Celtics
but-
can make people look good, sort of like the Portland Trailblazers. Trailblazers can also make people look good.
Yeah, I think Boston's going to be better. And Jason Tatum's been taking smarter shots in the or in the preseason. He hasn't been.
The fun rumor is
Yeah.
that they're trying to un-Kobe his game.
Instead of taking the mid-range contested jumpers, he's backing up, going and
Yep.
taking a 3 and stuff. Not shooting
Kobe.
early in the shot clock.
Kind of like
That's
Forrest
a
Gump, that
vernacular.
movie
Yeah.
when he's running to the end zone. He's gonna run right through
Yeah.
it, so the whole crowd
Keep
just goes,
going.
"Stop!
Stop,
Yeah.
Jason.
Stop!" It'll be like that.
He's like, nah, I got
The
to pull up.
entire free throw section, instead of saying brick, is gonna say, "Stop shooting the twos."
Yeah, I think the offense is just gonna be a lot smoother this time around. I think that the biggest issue for them is just losing Horford.
Yeah, he
And
was
that's a big loss.
so big on defense too.
Yeah.
So smart, communicating, able to make up for so many people's mistakes.
just anchoring that team. So
But yeah,
Yeah.
but getting to the fifth seed
yeah, they'll
in
be
the
fine.
East, it's not hard. Let's not
Yeah, it's
pretend.
not.
It's not the West.
So at number 6, I have a team we all talked about already, the Miami Heat. I'm just higher on the depth of the other teams. That's why I put them down there. And I want to see Jimmy Butler on his own. He's not completely on his own, but a
They got
team
a
that's
common-
completely
they got a
ran
bit
by
of
him.
squad,
What?
So they got a bit of a squad down
Oh,
there, man. They got a lot of
I
shot.
didn't
They
know
got
what you
they
said.
got a monopoly on shot creators and
Yeah.
playmakers down there, man.
I've used this term a lot, but I feel like he needs to have that release valve, and I just don't know exactly who that is right now. Who do you guys have? It's like, talked about the Heat enough.
Oh, I have the Nets.
Yeah, I
Kyrie
think
Irving,
I have the Nets as well.
DeAndre Jordan, Karis LeVert looking good, and
Yeah.
Karis LeVert missed a lot of the last season. I think he could be a potential most improved candidate. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I'm up on them. I think it's gonna be a fun season to start with for sure. Lots of energy in the arena. New design, new court design. They're gonna get coached on shooting by Kevin Durant or whatever he's doing.
No.
I think he's rehabbing away from the team. So that's
They
me
cooked
just
them
kind of
some snake.
spitballing.
Did y'all see that episode? Ibaka cooked them some snake.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, I
It just
saw
came
that. That
out
was
today.
actually pretty. That
It
was
just
pretty
came
good. It
out
was
today.
nice.
I didn't finish watching it. But it's
Snake
pretty
don't
good.
eat snake.
Who do you have at number?
I have the Nets as well.
Yeah, I have the Nets at 7. I mean, it's right there. Either one of those teams. I feel like.
Who's
you can-
most exciting for you guys on that team?
Spencer-
Kyrie Irving.
Like I
at
said
first?
last week, Spencer Dinwiddie, man.
Yeah.
I want to see him develop. See, that's somebody who, and we'll talk a little bit about 6 man. He could vie for it. I don't think he's gonna win it because I feel like you need to have a little bit more success. But I just want to see him. I just like seeing him play. if you guys aren't gonna watch the Nets because there's no Durant, at least watch it so you can see these young guys.
Man, they're gonna be a good team. We'll be talking about them a lot next year.
Yeah, but with Spencer Dinwiddie, like I said, he's real quick to the rim. I like the way he brings the ball up across half court. He's explosive. Like you wouldn't think about looking at him, but he's very explosive off the dribble, and so that's what I'm most excited to see. Andre, who stands out for you on the Nets?
Karis LeVert. Yeah, interested just to see,
the obvious answer.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, obvious answer would be Kyrie Irving, but
it's Kyrie. Nothing changes. It's Kyrie.
Yeah,
He's
Karis LeVert. You think he'll pick up where he left off?
Yeah, I think so. Should improve,
and
I want to see him get a little bit more efficient.
I hope they come to their senses and and they allow DeAndre Jordan to come off the bench and
I think that's what they're doing.
Jared Allen.
Yeah, I think Jared Allen's gonna start.
Soak up those minutes and build that chemistry with Kyrie Irving, get those lobs, and then I hope that Kurucs can get past his legal trouble, whatever the outcome of that may be. Because I like his energy, I like his athleticism. He's tall and lanky, and he's not afraid to kind of mix it up. I saw him John with Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs just this year, so. I like a lot of guys on their team. I think they're young. I think they might struggle a little bit on defense, especially with the head of the snake being Kyrie Irving. But
the head of the snake,
yeah, the guy that faces or the tip of the spear, whatever you want to say.
That's funny. You're just gonna call the Brooklyn Snakes.
Well, little known fact, Andre might know this one, that the one of the names that were floated around for the Brooklyn Nets when they were changing
from New Jersey,
or changing mascots at some point was the New Jersey. It wasn't New Jersey. The New Jersey Swamp Dragons.
Swamp
So that's kind of what I wish it was.
Like a China.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Team name.
Anyway,
trade me.
All right. So number 7, who do you guys have for number 7?
Number 7, I
have the Nets. Of course, I already said that.
All right, I got Orlando.
The Magic. Yeah, as well.
Magic.
Yeah, I think Aaron Gordon's gonna continue to develop.
He's Aaron Gordon.
What did I say?
Eric.
Oh, my
Aaron
bad.
Gordon,
Yeah, he's only like 25, dude. 24, 25.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I love him a lot. I think Vucevic is going to keep shooting, fulfill that contract.
Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah.
Long boy's going to be out there.
I have them at number 8, and you're going to hate me for this, but I'm going to jump on the Fultz train with Andre over here.
I was going to say you look good.
And I feel like they're going to have just enough with that addition of scoring to make it into the 8th. I mean, they made the playoffs last year.
And they hung on to DJ Augustin too, so
they didn't lose anybody. Like you said a few podcasts ago, they're running it back. Mm-hmm. And if Marco
run that AC back, baby.
Yeah.
If you have a healthy and confident Marco Fultz, that's a mean word. Confident.
Yeah.
As if to say he's
as long
not.
as he's shooting. Yeah.
Technically sound Marco Fultz. That's okay. That's a better way to say it. Why not run back the AC? Hey man. AC's AC. Playoffs are playoffs, baby.
Whenever I think of Marco Fultz, I just think of, I forgot what TV show this from. It's like, Loosey Goosey, baby. Loosey Goosey. Yeah, that's it.
I'm kind of interested to see who y'all have at number 8.
Number 8.
I have I said what I have. I have the Pacers.
You have the Pacers. Who does Andre have?
All right, 1, 2.
I have the Magic.
Oh,
I've already done. All we've talked about all my teams pretty much.
You have the Magic? Oh, I have the Bulls.
I was trying
to think of who that last team was for Andre. Because all my teams have been talked about at some point.
Yeah. I was flirting with the Bulls myself.
I don't know. I'm a believer in Zach LaVine. I've always liked Zach LaVine, but it's just like the Bulls. I feel like they, especially last year with the whole thing with practice, I feel like they had a bad environment going on.
Does that have anything to do with my Laurie Markkinen take a couple weeks ago?
But
that completely convinced you.
That would tip them over.
Yeah, I think so.
They will be good. It could be them. It could be the Magic. I just feel like the Magic have a little bit more talent.
I got Magic at 7.
Oh, you do have Magic at 7. You have you both have the Magic at 7. Yeah. So who do I have that you don't have?
Who have you not?
I have the Raptors, Pacers, Celtics, Heat, Nets, Magic. Who don't you have on there?
Do I have like 9 teams?
Andre, I think you had an extra team. No, but the Bulls.
I have Sixers, Bucks, Heat, Pacers, Celtics, Nets, Magic, Bulls.
Is that 8? I didn't count.
That's 8.
And
Do you have 8?
Say it one more time.
Sixers, Bucks, Heat, Pacers, Celtics, Nets, Magic, Bulls.
That's 8.
Yeah.
Yours?
Bucks, Sixers, Raptors, Pacers, Celtics, Heat, Nets, Magic.
That's 8 as well.
Yeah.
This is great podcast.
Well, who do you have that I don't have?
I can't say it again.
Look at the list.
Look at this list afterward because that's really throwing me off right now.
It is.
Oh, we just have a different order. But no, you have the Bulls.
I have the Bulls, yeah.
Do you have the Nets?
I do have the Nets.
Heat?
I have the Heat.
Do you have the Celtics, Pacers, Raptors, Sixers?
I don't have the Raptors.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's on you, baby.
Oh my god, yeah.
Andre has the Raptors missing the playoffs.
My bad.
He's saying they're blowing it up early. Marcus Gasol is gone.
Yeah.
Hey,
Lowry's
I
gone.
said he.
OG is gone.
If this happens, Andre will be like a Nostradamus right there.
Yeah.
Man, you never know. I think they are one
The
injury
highest
away.
highs
They
and
are
the
one
lowest
injury away
lows.
from really being bad.
It's like that time that I called that Paul Pierce shot against the Hawks.
I mean, like they got a lot of 1 year contract. Like Ibaka's an expiring.
They can make hay out of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
For
they
teams
can
that are on the
blow
cusp.
it up.
That's true.
It's
I
like
think they might.
It's like I said earlier. Masai's not sentimental. You know what I mean?
Blow it up.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I gave you a contract. Congrats on the championship. Holla. Like,
That is very true. That is very true. I can see that happening.
But also the Bulls.
Good
just,
take, Andre.
Yeah. The Bulls could also just get tired of Jim Boylan not playing any defense, and they could be like the 10th or 11th seed.
Yeah.
But who knows? So that's our
Eastern
predictions.
Conference.
Eastern
dude.
Conference predictions. So we got to do the West now.
Yeah, let's move on to the Western Conference.
It's nice that one of us kind of was bold.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
and we
oh.
can, and the listeners can just lord it over Andre all season long.
I don't care.
Canada-
Man, y'all just won. Like,
Canada, Canada, you hear us.
You
Get in
can't
these
have it all.
mentions. That's what's that Twitter handle, Andre, so we can get right in. your
Nah.
mentions?
Oh yeah, before we move on to the Western Conference, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Shotcallers Show, Instagram _Shotcallers. Listen to us if you're not listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Radio.com,
Wherever podcasts
you
are
name
sold.
it. Just search for us, these Shotcallers. We're also on YouTube, the Shotcallers. Just look for that blue, red, and black basketball hoop. Where else can they reach us? Oh, and if you would like to send us a message, if you disagree with Andre's take, Canada,
Then keep
send
it
us a
to
message
yourself.
to shotcallershow@gmail.com. But let's go ahead and move into the Western Conference. Rich, you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, I
Who do
can. So we start at the top or the bottom?
The top, man.
We'll start at the
the
top.
bottom is where it gets real. Actually,
Dicey.
the whole Western Conference is really difficult.
I think
to
the top will be pretty
I think we
straightforward.
no,
Because
think
I don't
so.
know. I don't.
No.
Well, at least. All right. So who do y'all have?
All right,
Let's just
what
all
you
say
got
not
one?
the not the
1, 2,
exact
3,
same time
1, 2, 3,
because
1.
I want them to be able to hear us. So let's say one right after another.
Okay.
We'll go
Okay,
Richard,
so
me,
I'll do the
Richard,
symbol.
Andre, me.
Ready?
All right.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Rockets.
Nuggets.
Clippers.
Dang.
I like the Rockets.
Yeah.
I almost went with the Rockets, and I totally feel you on the Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in on the Kool-Aid, man. Like Mike D'Antoni.
James
All right.
Harden will do his damn thing in the
Yep.
regular season.
Let me tell you why though. This is the only team with continuity,
and they
and they were
and they got their
they were
Michael
number
Porter
one
Jr.
last
possibility
year.
too.
The only team that
No,
was
they
one
ended up at
through
2.
Were there- Who's
I
won?
thought-
Warriors.
The Nuggets.
the Warriors
No,
were
the
one.
Warriors were one.
Warriors
Yeah.
were one.
Are you
Nuggets
sure?
were two.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I have it right
Warriors were
here.
one.
Yeah.
The Warriors were 57 and 25.
I refuse.
I
I did not.
guarantee
I
it.
reject your reality.
But I get what you're saying. Every other team kind of has a new dynamic, right? You
Yeah.
talk about all these new duos, but the Nuggets are true and true 1 through 5, the same team, and they added.
and they just added Michael Porter.
Michael
so they're just
Porter.
like, give him some more minutes. That's it. Like, assuming they're all healthy, they should just be better.
And they have the strength to withstand an injury to one of their guys.
Yeah, they got the
As
depth.
long
They're
as
one
it's
of the
not
deepest
Jokic.
That's
teams.
true. That's
Yeah.
true. You lose
Yeah.
one of the,
Which is really important.
Yeah.
The Rockets are very.
although I think if
thin.
you lose Jokic, you're kind of
That's what I was saying. Except
up a
for
creek with no paddle.
But
But he don't like.
the Rockets are quite thin. I don't think Ryan Anderson's someone that can play every game. Nene can only play like 9 games this season due to some weird contract obligation that they got going on from the
Yeah,
summer.
if he plays more, they go into luxury tax.
Yeah,
on him.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we all know that that
No, we
Tillman,
not spending money.
Tillman
dog.
for today ain't paying.
Yeah, we
ain't
all
And
know-
Daryl
paying
Morey,
anybody.
you're silenced.
You guys all know Jokic's secret sauce, right?
What?
Watch 5 hours of
The Pokemon.
Oh,
Yeah.
the week before the NBA season
Yeah.
kicks off.
There's your little tidbit right
He's
there.
like, what'd you do
Yeah.
this weekend? Pokemon. Like,
For 5 hours. I see why you picked them. I went with the Clippers.
I was going to talk about the Rockets.
We can talk about the Rockets.
Oh,
'cause
but go
but the reason I picked the Clippers, I am very high on that duo. I feel like, to use the overused term, the best
We also
two-way duo.
We also got to get some synonyms for the word duo here. We need pairings. We
The
need
pair.
couples.
The couple.
Yeah, the
they're
couples.
like the Terminators now.
Yeah.
They're the Terminator team. Did y'all see that new ad?
With
like,
the Clippers.
Yeah, it's like
Oh, yeah.
Kawhi and Paul George with
Yeah.
Arnold.
Schwarzenegger.
I just think overall they are in the best situation from top to bottom, from ownership to management to the coach to the players on the court. The synergy is there. You talked about continuity, man. The best way to look at the Clippers is they replaced Danilo Gallinari and Shai Gilgeous with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Like that team that actually took more than one game off of the Warriors. The full-fledged Warriors, the ones with Kevin Durant, completely, sound and ready to go. they took 2 games off of them. They took them to Game 6, which is huge, right? And I don't like to kind of do the hypothetical situations, but I mean, you replace those 2 guys with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, I feel like that's a very different series. Load management, of course, will be a part of it, but I think it'll be one of those situations where you manage more of the minutes as opposed to the actual games, because you can technically throw Kawhi out there for 26 minutes, gain a big lead, and then throw your B team out there, and you're still going to have the scoring. You're still going to have Lou Williams coming off the bench. You're still going to have Montrezl Harrell coming off the bench, 2 6-man of the year candidates. So I think they'll be able to manage Kawhi this year in a different way than the Raptors did last year, and that ultimately leads to them to being the number 1 seed. I had the Rockets at 2, Rich. Tell the people why you're so high on the Rockets.
Oh, man, I just think that they have guys that, Andre, you said continuity. There's literal continuity, as in they're going to play.
This is James Harden and Clint Capella.
They're going to play,
that's what you need. And PJ Tucker.
They're going to play exactly the same way as they were before. They're just swapping out one guy, and Ryan Anderson came back away from 2 seasons away from them, and he was like, "Hey, everything's the fucking same."
Yeah, like nothing changed. You got Russ.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and they were only 3 games out of the 1 seed, 4 games, something like that. So yeah, I could definitely see them taking over the number 1 seed. You really just replace one piece. I mean, that's overly simplified considering that Chris Paul's one of the best mid-range shooters and Russell Westbrook's one of the worst. But you just scheme to it. You still run ISO 28% of the time, so it's really going to be primarily going through James Harden. They're not going to rewrite the script on that. And I think it's really good to in moments like if you think back to the playoffs when they were playing the Warriors. Game 1, it felt like it took forever for James Harden to get hot. That happens this time around. You get the ball to Russell Westbrook, and hopefully if he's on, I think it's going to be very rare for both guys to just be off. So in those scenarios, I can definitely see Russell Westbrook taking over the game, kind of weathering the storm throughout the first, second quarter, whatever that looks like, and then James Harden coming in with the killer punch and then just ultimately winning a lot of games that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got the Rockets at 2 as well, and I think it's gonna depend. I mean, with Harden, they're gonna get theirs anyway.
He's only 30, right?
Yeah,
and that's still
he's 30.
You're still at the tail end of your prime there. He could repeat his feats from last season.
I think their high end success is gonna depend on Russ. Not being hard,
cutting off the ball,
so
having your hands in a position to shoot when it's time to pass instead of just being drifting away from the play, which is a big thing.
Creating and passing, not settling for boneheaded shots. That's going to be the big thing if he can consistently do that,
and just being off the ball. When he's off the ball, I'm not he's not. If you were me, Russell Westbrook, the podcaster, he's not here ready to speak. When you start speaking, he's going to get some water, totally checked out until next time.
That's a very good analogy.
You know, so
checking his email.
So I have the Rockets at 2. And the Clippers at 1. Who did you guys have at 2?
I had Denver for 2. I'm just as high as everyone else is. I think they'll just repeat, run it back, run that Miles Plumlee. Mason Plumlee.
Miles just got cut by the
Hawks.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Mason Plumlee, Nikola Jokic pick and roll. Their go-to action. They do that sometimes just for fun. they do
when they're up by 15.
Yeah. Jamal Murray's going to take a leap forward. They gave him that confidence contract.
I like Gary Harris.
I think with the Nuggets, it's one of those situations where every game that they should win, they will win. They will just go out there.
A lot like the Spurs.
They got the best home court advantage,
and then they might split the other games against the top 5 teams in the league, and that's enough to put them up there for me at the 3rd seed. I think that'll definitely be. It's going to be that same situation that you were kind of mentioning in the East, where the 1 through 4 seed will probably be within 3 games of each other, and then the 5th through the 8th through the 12th are going to be. That happened last year for a while, but the 5th through the 12th are all going to be within 5 games of each other. But I think ultimately, like what Andre said, the continuity, the team structure, the synergy, and then just the fact that they go out there and they handle business. You know what Denver basketball looks like every single time. They run the pick and roll very efficiently, and you got guys that can score from everywhere. I feel like these guys can score from pretty much everywhere.
And what I like a lot is Nikola Jokic is big and soft, has great passing vision, great angles he can get the ball around, but also sometimes he just throw me the ball. I'm gonna ram my shoulder into you 7 times. Then I'm gonna do something like this, and then the ball will just kind of plop into the.
Y'all ever see Jokic getting injured? Because his style of play doesn't lend himself to getting injured, but it's so effective. That's one of the things. Y'all were talking about injury, and I'm like, what's he gonna do to get injured? Maybe go up on a rebound and come down bad or something.
He's a big guy. And
he is a big guy.
We saw what just happened to Zion.
That dude be.
Dude,
he's cutting and stuff.
You can tear your meniscus and your ACL. You can tear your meniscus and your ACL walking down the stairs. Yeah. So It could happen. Nobody is prone to the. Nobody is other than LeBron.
Yeah.
Has withstood that long without having an injury. I think it's just part of the game now, and that's why you load manage. And maybe they do that. I doubt it because you have to go out there and handle business every
This
single
dude be
night.
playing hella minutes, tired running up and down the court.
Yeah. I think you mentioned the name, Michael Porter Jr. I feel like if he can have that added scoring, you can run a different kind of play. You can run the pick and pop, and he doesn't have to necessarily, bang against the boards all the time.
Right.
If you can do some more perimeter scoring, you take the ball out of his hands, and you have guys that can kill from the outside. It's less of a toll on his body.
Yeah.
Man, I still think back to that game against Portland where we played like 60 minutes.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
That was a long game, quadruple over.
So I had them at 3. So who do you guys have at 3?
4. So we're pretty much all over the place.
Where's
here.
your 3 at?
Wait, 3?
I haven't done my 3.
I
So
haven't either. Oh, I have the LA Clippers.
Okay, so we've talked about those 3 teams. So at 4.
I have Clippers at 3, but let me tell you why. Because
Why do you have the Clippers at 3?
Because of Montrez. Is that what you're
well,
going to say?
not even that. It's like Paul George might miss a lot of games.
The reason why
and
I
the
don't
strength
want
of
them at 1 or
schedule,
2 is, their schedule's going to be, front loaded or.
they're in the
with a lot of good
California
teams.
division too, so they're playing against like a lot of good teams.
Mhm.
They say Kawhi's supposed to say, "All right, I'm done load management," but I don't know if I believe that.
He'll still miss almost 10, I'm sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and they can't with how tough the West is, they can't afford to miss too many games without all their stars playing together. It's gonna take them a while to figure out how to operate together. And I don't even know if Paul George is gonna be as he was before.
And he's not playing with contact right now.
Yeah,
So we
so
don't
it's
know
like-
when he's going to be full strength.
It
So.
could be a while until the Clippers click. I mean, assuming everyone's healthy in the playoffs, the only thing they want is home court advantage in the first round. Outside of that, they're good.
I don't know, man. The Raptors won 50 games last year with load managed
Kawhi.
and I feel like the Sporting Cast.
But they were in the
is much
East
better.
too.
And Doc Rivers is
That's
so
true.
smart.
That's
They're in
true.
the
But
East.
But I have
It's
him
not
at,
the
we have him at
West.
3, not
Yeah.
at 9 or 6.
Hey, man, I got them at 1, so I need them to win some games, okay? So
I think they'll be good, but just not right off.
Gotcha. So you had the Clippers at 3.
Yeah.
Who'd you have at 4?
At 4, I had the Utah Jazz.
I have the Lakers.
I have the Lakers at 4 as well. I
All right.
think that duo is that good.
Yeah.
Not to oversimplify it, but I think when you have 2 guys like that, they can kind of score at will. It really opens up the floor and it allows other guys like Kyle Kuzma to really develop. Now, granted, Kyle Kuzma is gonna miss some
At
time.
least 2 weeks. Let me check on that while we do.
So tonight we'll kind of get a preview of it. But neither team at full strength, so it's not gonna be quite the battle of LA. But I think those 2 guys, when you're talking about playing against some of these other teams, it's gonna be really hard to. It's gonna be playing keep up.
You can't stop. You're not gonna be able to stop.
Yeah,
them.
so you're playing keep up, not catch up necessarily, but keep up, right? Every time they come down the court, you've got a bucket, kind of,
Yeah.
almost guaranteed.
Yeah. And defensively, they should be pretty good too. if
Yeah, they
everyone's
should
healthy.
be very good. I like JaVale at the 5. I think a lot of people don't give him enough credit for what he can do. But you're going to see him kind of like we saw him in the Warriors, right, playing in the finals and throughout the playoffs. He gets a lot of easy buckets because there's so much attention on those other 2 guys. In the case of the Warriors, the attention was on Kevin Durant. Even when Durant went down, the attention is still on the Splash Brothers. I think it's going to be a lot of that with the Lakers. You're going to have so much attention on Anthony
Everything
Davis.
else, you got Danny
that
Green.
he's going to get those easy putbacks. You're going to
Mhm.
see him. I probably can see him being very, very strong on the offensive boards this year. I don't know how his exact career average on that, but I could see him, beating his career average. If he fakes enough injuries, he'll get a lot of easy.
You see a fake enough
tosses.
injury.
You saw that play.
I saw that. The fake limp.
You saw that one where he faked an
Yeah.
injury and he got that easy toss under the basket. No, but yeah, I think in the regular season, your starting 5 is ultimately what dictates where you end up. I think the depth really pays off more in the playoffs. It obviously does matter in the regular season in terms of games played, games missed, et cetera, et cetera. But I think with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, this is probably the best player that LeBron's ever had next to him.
Both of the ways, yeah.
And just to answer your question about Kyle Kuzma, he's missed about 2 months so far, and he's been in non-contact drills and practices. Everything that I'm seeing is that they're only ruling him out at this game, so he could be out. He could be in pretty soon,
Okay.
but we don't know for sure.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so I had them at 5, and it's kind of the same thing as the Clippers is I don't think they'll have trouble transitioning into playing with each other in terms of compatibility, things like that, but because they're going to be good. They're going to score, they're going to be good defensively, but they're so they're one injury away from just losing that lead. So I don't expect Anthony Davis to play all the games. He'll probably play 60 games, something like that. and that might be
Oh,
enough.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
60 games is awful low for me.
That's a lot of misses. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anthony Davis,
For
his
not
average
having
is
that-
like
for
what,
not
mid
having that-
60s?
Yeah, but for not
67.
having that
Yeah.
depth, dude, I think you have to have him play 70.
That's the point that
Yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
make, and like he's really big on their defensive end of the ball. Him and JaVale for being the guys that kind of swab balls away when guys drive. LeBron uses that end of the court to kind of rest. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you can't really rely on that every night, especially at the age that he is now. We don't know how his body's gonna hold up. And then Rajon Rondo's a defensive like open wound. Like here, come right in.
Yeah.
So I mean, they don't have a ton of depth, and outside of those two guys, the quality around them isn't as good, which is why I don't have them as high as the Clippers are, even though I have those questions.
Yeah.
about
But I
them.
think, like, assuming everyone's
Clippers.
healthy, like, I think they're the team to beat in the West. If
Yeah,
everyone's
I don't
healthy.
think they care what seed they are. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So you
but
had at
four
four?
at Jazz.
The Jazz.
I think the addition of Mike Conley is gonna be enough.
Where-
Like he
Real quick, I have him at 7. You have him
Bojan.
The Jazz.
Yeah.
I have them
Bogdanovich.
at 5.
You got them 5, 4.
5, cool. So,
Yes.
sorry,
Yeah.
keep going. You said
5.
Bojan?
What? Yeah, Bojan helps with scoring, stretching the floor. You got him. Mike Conley's gonna help with playmaking and floor stretching as well. He can score from anywhere, and also like a very good.
Yeah, I think the
defender, so.
key for them is going to be, and I have them at
Like-
7, but I do have them as a dark horse. I think the key for them is going to be a lot of transitional offense.
Yeah, I mean that's what
which
Mitchell
they can do
excels at,
because
yeah.
they have the defense player there.
They got
rim
floor
protector.
stretchers too. Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got guys that in transition can spot up and shoot.
Joe Ingles.
I'm really high on Joe Ingles.
Mhm.
But yeah, keep going on what you were saying.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of that combined with you've got multiple shot creators now who are actual threats as opposed to like Ricky Rubio. Yeah, he can play make, but if you sack off him, he's not always going to shoot confidently. So I think just having that, in addition of Bojan.
Bojan.
It's like a Y instead of it's a J, but it's like a Y.
Yeah,
It's gonna be enough. And also with Donovan Mitchell's continued improvement, so I think they'll be pretty good.
Yeah, year 3
got-
Donovan. I'm
yeah.
excited.
Yeah, Spider-Man. Yeah, you're right. They got a lot of guys who can but they can create their own shot. Which a lot of times when you're talking about close games, which the Jazz had a lot of close games last year, that's the difference maker, right? You have to be able to spread the floor, and I think whether the ball's in Donovan Mitchell's hands or Mike Conley's hands, you have to be. I think a lot of people forget just how good Mike Conley is, or was at least. And when he was with the Grizzlies, they almost took out the Warriors.
He's always been a quiet threat, man.
Yeah, so I'm interested to seeing that. I'll still put him down at 7, just holding reservations on that.
And that's fair. I mean, Moutier, Exum, they could be not panning
I'll
out the way
take some
that,
day to day though.
Don't say X.
the way that they want, and like we don't. He's injury prone.
Yeah.
He's always
so we don't know
injured,
what he's gonna be.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. That's
Oh,
fair.
okay. Emmanuel Mudiay though is just like Mike Conley. They're distributors. They, if
But he doesn't have the shot that Mike Conley has.
That's true. But when you're talking about, and I'll talk a little bit about them a little more later when we get to our awards. But when you have a guy who can create off the bench, who can distribute off the bench, it's really good when you kind of have that mesh, right? When you bring him in and you maybe put him with some of the starters, and you have a guy like Joe Ingles who will also come off the bench with him. It's gonna give him a lot of opportunities to spot up and shoot, which is his specialty, right? When you talk about Joe Ingles, so I'm interested to see just where they end up.
Yeah, Joe Ingles is 32 though, man. So
That's fine. I don't need him to run. I don't need him to sprint up and down the
but
court.
I'm defending your 7th seed placement. That could be a
gotcha,
reason.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So
Getting ahead of myself.
So who'd y'all have at
5.
6.
5?
We're at 5.
What? All right. So y'all had Jazz at 5. I had him at 4. Okay.
Yeah, at 5 I had the Portland Trailblazers. They're still not gonna have Nurkic for, I'm not exactly sure, probably the first quarter of the season. But I'm interested. I have a huge question mark when it comes to Hassan Whiteside in this offense.
Me too. I think
Just
we all
because I think after that contract he received, he let a lot of people down. It's not great on the defensive end. Definitely a step down from Nurkic. So I hope he splits a lot of time with Zach Collins because, like I said last week, I really like Zach Collins. He's terrible when it comes to foul trouble.
Yeah.
He cannot stay out of foul trouble. Hassan Whiteside's not quite as bad when it comes to that. So if they
Because
split it
he
up,
goes for the first block that just comes his way, and then the guy will just pass to somebody else, and then that guy scores. So
Yeah.
there's no foul there.
yeah.
Falls for every pump.
Yep.
But I think just the sheer offense of the Mama's boys, CJ and Damian Lillard, I think that's enough to get a lot of those wins where we talked about it last year. You have a CJ night, you have a Damian Lillard night. That's all you got to do. You have one of those every night.
Sounds
and
easy.
You're gonna win a lot of games.
Yeah.
It's a simple formula. It's overly simplified, but I think that's gonna at least keep them afloat and keep them in the playoff picture until they get Nurkic back. And then when they get Nurkic back, is where they really will turn on the Jets, and they're gonna, you're gonna see them go on some very quality winning streaks. And I think the only teams that really matched up with them is the team that beat them last year, which was the Warriors. And now we have a depleted Warriors team. Might not have Klay Thompson at all. Kevin Durant's gone. So I think other than that, the only team that can outscore them really is the Rockets. But the fact that they don't have Nurkic for, I'm not exactly sure how long, is going to result in some losses that otherwise would be wins. But yeah, I think only the Rockets can keep up with that level of scoring.
So you had them at 5?
I have them at 5.
Where did you have them, Rich?
5, I had the Jazz.
I could see
so
them
my
upset
5 is
Lakers.
done.
Okay. So yeah, 5.
Oh,
I had.
you're asking about where I have Portland though? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can. Go ahead.
Where I have
Yes.
Portland is actually at.
It's like out of the playoffs.
I think I have them at 7.
Yeah, I have them at 8. So
Oh, y'all see them dipping that far down?
yeah, I think the loss of Nurkic is going to be big for them, and it's.
I think the addition of Hassan Whiteside is gonna be big.
You think so?
In
A big
way.
negative, or what?
Yeah, in a bad way.
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
bench him, Rich.
I like Dame as a leader. I feel like he'll get him in line, but I think Portland's success is gonna hang on Whiteside or either flipping him for assets and getting like Kevin Love or someone else in the market
Who wants
because they need
that?
it.
They want an expiring
Yeah,
contract.
they
is
want
what they
expiring
want.
contract.
Is this
Yeah.
last year?
Yeah.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
okay. I wasn't-
People
So
want to say
he
contract
could
year
either
Whiteside.
play very well for
Yeah.
them and they don't move him, or they can just dump him, and pick up like Kevin Love or something like that, like another 4, Kevin Love, Blake Griffin, something like that, because that's where they're really struggling, and especially in the West, like they're a forward heavy league, so not having a good perimeter player like that is gonna hurt them. Even though I feel like Dame and CJ, they're tried and true, right? They're gonna get theirs. One of them's gonna get theirs on any given day. But I mean, as we've seen in the past, that it hasn't always been enough for them.
Well, I think the biggest key to the big man in Portland is you have to be able to play with your back to the basket,
Yeah.
and he's not very good at that.
Who?
Hassan Whiteside.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like them. I still feel like they're gonna make the playoffs, but it's kind of hard for me, and I'm kind of optimistic on some of these teams down here. But yeah, I had them at 8. Richard, you said you had them at 7. Did you want to?
I haven't announced what my 6th one is.
I haven't either.
What's
but,
your 6? Go ahead.
Go for yourself.
Yeah. So my 6 was the Warriors.
Mine too.
Yeah,
yeah,
mine too.
so-
Warriors.
Wow,
at 6.
wow, that's cool. Yeah, I think that they have a duo that's as strong as anyone, or a pairing, or a date.
Yeah,
or
pick
a,
and
Talking
roll.
about Draymond.
Draymond.
yeah,
and
whipped
Steph.
cream and cherry.
Yeah.
As strong
Well, like I
as-
mentioned earlier to you, man, he leads the league in turnover percentage.
If he-
So when you don't have other ball handlers or other guys that you can swing the ball to confidently, he's gonna have the ball in his hand more than he has in the past,
Mhm.
and he's a turnover machine. So
Who?
you got to be careful.
Draymond?
Draymond.
Draymond.
But he's also their leading assist guy too, though.
He is.
So,
But
Yeah, when
what,
you have Kevin Durant.
what he was saying that of the
well, he's always
Klay
been
Thompson-
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What JV was saying earlier is that of the possessions that Draymond Green has the ball, 36% of them end up as a turnover.
Not quite that high. It was
Oh,
like 28.
28%.
Yeah.
I was just embellishing.
Like,
Almost
Get this
30%
guy.
of it. So yeah, I mean, he's not gonna be as wide open as he normally is whenever
Yeah.
they run that pick and roll. They double Steph Curry, tosses it to Draymond. He's got a bajillion feet of space. Instead of 2 guys on Steph Curry or everyone having to stick to their guys, they're gonna have
D'Angelo Rose.
no.
They're gonna have 2 guys on
Marquise
Steph
Chris.
and
No,
I think-
the butt of the joke all last season. I got him right.
no,
here.
Alfonso McKinney is
he's gone. Yeah, that dude's out of there. They cut him.
Oh no,
They
you're
cut him
right,
like 2
you're right,
days
you're
ago.
Yeah,
right.
Alfonso
That
McKinney
just
is
happened.
gone. But I get what you're saying. I mean, they're very depleted. The walking minus is gone. Oh my
But,
god!
like,
what
man,
can I
they
think of
gotta-
his name?
Sean Livingston.
Sean Livingston's gone. You have no Klay Thompson might be gone. the
No
whole season.
Iguodala. Yeah.
Kevin Durant is gone. No,
I mean, let me just
Iguodala.
read the names to you. We have D'Angelo Russell, besides Steph Curry and
Marquise Chris,
And-
Kevon Looney. Yeah.
yeah, Kevon Looney, Damian Lee, Willie Cauley-Stein, Jordan Poole, Omari Spellman, Alan Smeligic, Eric Paschal, Alec Burks, Jacob Evans, Kai
Jeez.
Bowman, Glenn Robinson III, and Marquise Chris.
Yeah, I just think.
Who's getting guarded?
Yeah, exactly. I think Steph is just
Just
good
throw
enough
the
to
whole
get
team
them.
at Steph.
Steph is good enough to get them to that 6th seed, but
Yeah,
it is gonna look it is terrifying to think that Draymond might have to put the ball on the floor.
Yeah, and into the hoop.
Yeah.
He did all right in 2016,
Telling
but
you, man.
That's a different
That
time.
Yeah,
turnover
that's a
ratio
different time.
is
That was-
terrible.
yeah.
I hope Draymond Green kept his 23 pounds off that he lost at the end of last season. And
Yeah.
I mean, Steph Curry can shoot over all 5 defenders. Like we all know this, you know. So yeah, that's where I'm at. They're gonna be 60.
they're
Well, the
one
thing is,
injury
guys
away
are gonna
from
be running
falling
under
out.
screens all day now.
over screens.
Yeah, sorry.
But he can still shoot it. It's whatever.
Yeah, I guess, but
He's the number one shooter we've ever seen in our lives.
I think in the regular season,
that's why I have him in the playoffs.
He's going to get it done, but they're still just one injury away. So he's really going to have to perform an MVP caliber season. So we'll see. So we all have them at 6, right?
Yeah, I have the Jazz at 7. We talked about them a little bit already. So who do you guys have at 7?
I had Portland, so we talked about them too.
Who do you have at 7, Andre?
Dallas Mavericks.
The homer.
Yeah.
Over here.
I think we're going to do pretty well.
I think Dirk might even say no to that one.
Nah, stop it.
Yes? Okay, yes.
Don't
okay,
hate.
Cool.
So why do you have the Mavericks at number 7? I'll go ahead and tell you right now, I don't have them in the playoffs.
Me either.
Oh man, nah. I think Luka's already taken a step. He's shown like his biggest flaw last season was 1 turnovers and 2 free throw shooting.
And his efficiency trailed at the end of the season. But
Well, that's because he was taking a lot of in the shot clock
he was
heaves
hungry,
and stuff.
hungry,
He
and
doesn't
hippos.
care. Like he'll throw the ball up. He doesn't care about that.
His usage was super high. It was like hungry
Yeah.
hippos out there.
But so efficiency should go up. Him having a lot more talent around him. Assists should go up.
Yeah,
Because of the talent.
you
as
got
well.
a game plan for Kristaps now. You can't
His
just game plan for
efficiency
Luka.
should be better. He's been shooting a free throw better in preseason, so hopefully that translates to regular season. He shot pretty well at the beginning of the season, and that kind of went away as the season went on.
and
He
he
started
should be-
getting fatigued.
He should be less gassed. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's in better shape.
So he lost a lot of weight. So in terms of that, I see all that improving. Hopefully, turnovers and decision making should go down. Adding an option like Kristaps Porzingis will be great for him because he never played with someone as talented as him. I don't think either of them have.
Yeah.
Should count Melo, but
Melo was pretty good.
Melo
back
was
then,
good. Yeah, he was
but
good.
but I'm high on both of them. Like
Yeah.
we got a lot of shooting.
Oh yeah,
A lot of
I think they're going to
playmaking.
be a lot of fun to watch. I
Yeah.
just when I look at the other teams that I put ahead of them, the Warriors. I mean, the Warriors until I see them actually decline, you gotta be high.
I
on
got the
them.
Warriors ahead of them.
Something you talked about was tried and true, right? Consistency. The Trailblazers still have that same team synergy, even though they did lose some of their role players.
They lost their big number 3 option and their big defender too in Nurkic.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
he'll be back. He'll be back.
It is
He'll
vague.
take it.
Even
I
if-
was checking while
Even
we
if
were-
he's back halfway through the season, I
He
think
could be
that'll
like-
be enough
yeah.
to keep them. That's why I have him at 5. But my number 8 team because
So we
talked
both
about
haven't talked about him.
We
I
haven't
have
talked.
mine too. You wanted to say it at the same time.
You're right. Yeah.
All right, you ready? 3, 2, 1.
The
San
Spurs,
Antonio.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, it's got to be the Spurs, man.
Spurs.
I think
Nothing's
they-
really changed over there, and they just extended Dejounte Murray. Derek White is going to be huge. I think he's just going to continue to develop. If he can protect the ball, you talked about protecting the ball with Luka, right? And not making those dumb mistakes. Derek White does the same thing. He's going to elevate his game, and that's a guy that comes off the bench. He's gonna be that spark off the bench.
beats them if they turn the ball over.
I mean, I could.
Sends them back to their countries, or what?
He doesn't beat them, but he definitely will bench you.
Yeah,
He makes stupid moves like that, and I think the Mavericks can't quite afford that, right?
Yeah.
And as much as I love Luka and how high I am on Kristaps, I think Kristaps can have a very solid season. I just feel like these teams edge them out because
And they're going to rest Kristaps too.
They got a lot of
yeah,
You know,
Yeah, they're
and
gonna-
so to your point, like Lonnie Walker Jr. is another guy. I'm not a huge preseason guy, but from what I've seen in the clips that I watched to kind of just keep pace, he's outplaying everybody on the floor as far as the other guys trying to make the squad. So that's another solid rotational piece, and you can say confidently that the Spurs will beat the teams they're supposed to beat. Whereas you can't necessarily
Same thing
say
with
that
the
about.
Nuggets.
I mean, I went to a game where they played the Mavericks, and the Mavericks were a team the Spurs were supposed to beat. And at halftime, we were in the American Airlines Center. That entire
super hype thinking
that entire bowl was black. Everybody was wearing black, and the score was 62-26 in that particular game. It was halftime.
Oh,
It was-
in the Spurs room?
Yeah, Spurs Mavs. That was a sad day.
Yeah,
This
so
is recent.
like you said, they'll beat the teams they're supposed to beat, and with the Mavericks, like I can't confidently say right now that they're gonna go out there and they're gonna handle business. Every game is
Yeah.
gonna be hard fought,
Right.
And like those are those games that can tip either way are gonna define your seeding, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like the Spurs are gonna win games by 12.
Mhm.
The Mavericks are gonna win games by 4, 3,
Spurs
2.
win game by 12.
Yeah, they will. Let's not downplay the fact that Marcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan are still very capable.
Yeah, they're like
players.
top 35
Yeah, they're still
players,
very
top
good
30
players.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we get lost in the fact that they got dumped in the first round,
Mhm.
but they almost upset the Nuggets, dude. They went to 7 games against the Nuggets. The team that we're talking about being.
So
very
I didn't
built
have
together.
them in the playoffs just because they do have a lot of tried and true players, but
almost upset the Nuggets.
They did almost upset the Nuggets, and that's the experience speaking right there. But I'm not sure that style of play is going to continue to be successful for them. DeMar DeRozan was shooting a lot more threes in the preseason. He made a good chunk of them. I mean, small sample sizes and all that, but LaMarcus Aldridge is getting up there. He's 34, going on 35.
Yeah, but he's a Dirk type,
he's
Duncan type player. Where
like
his
fadeaway
game,
post.
His game doesn't age, or it ages very well.
Yeah,
because his game is post. Back you down.
He's a rim
turn
protector,
turn around,
jumper. Fadeaway.
Since you said the name Tim Duncan, I do just want to let y'all know that Tim Duncan is top 10 in blocks this decade, and he's only played in like 5 or 6 years of the decade.
So he's
crazy?
still top 10.
He's still great.
But yeah, to y'all's point, or the opposite point, you're talking about the Spurs, the Mavericks. I said this in I think last week's podcast. Not every starter on on the Dallas Mavericks team is going to start on every other team. There's bench quality guys potentially.
Right.
That are starting for the Mavericks, and that's just a weakness.
That's just our biggest.
Because then you go to the bench, and it's even weaker. They're gonna have to do a lot of staggered lineups with mostly starters and bench guys. But
they'll have some upset wins throughout the season. But I think it's gonna be those closely contested games that you're gonna. I think we're gonna sit here halfway through the season and say, "Damn, there's at least a handful of games that they could have won, and they're not gonna go their way just because of what Richard said. You only have 2 closers, and you can exploit some of the other guys, because they are more bench quality players, and the Spurs are a little bit deeper. I mean, and that's going to be and the coaching. Rick Carlisle's a great coach, but he also hates to coach young guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little unfair, but I see what you mean. He likes to have the proven guys out there.
Yeah.
And so I guess this is the conference where it would be more exciting to compare who just misses the playoffs. So who do you guys have who would you think the 9th seed would be, since the Pelicans are going to be, probably losing?
So I think at 9, I put the Thunder.
Yeah.
And that's a team that could squeeze into the playoffs as well. So just missing, I have the Thunder because I feel like there will be a trade, right? They'll have the wins. I think about who's the team that traded somebody away? I can't think of anybody right now.
The Denver Nuggets traded Nurkic.
Yeah, I can think of a team that's like semi in contention. It's like they could make the playoffs possibly if they keep playing this way, and then they're like, if we make the playoffs, we're gonna lose. So let's just trade people right now because they look good, right?
Yeah.
So I could definitely see the Thunder like being right there, 7, 8 seed, 9 seed, 8 seed, 7 seed, and the whole way.
And they trade,
and they're like,
and
the reason that they're there is because of guys like Chris Paul, Steven Adams, and then they're like, hey, Steven Adams looks really good right now. Let's sell him high, sell him at the deadline, and then now you lose 20 out of your last 30.
Yeah, if I was gonna pick a team for the 9th seed, I would pick the Kings, because I'm high on a lot of their players. De'Aaron Fox, super fast. Harrison Barnes, pretty solid. As long as he doesn't get too many isolation, and they let Buddy Hield shoot like crazy, and Marvin Bagley develop some more. I would kind of hope they would make the postseason, because it'd be so fun to see them in the playoffs as hard as they've been trying, bringing in or having Bogdan, son of Bogdanovich. So I'm high on them. That's for my 9.
Yeah. The
only
reason,
because I didn't have. Or wait, what were you?
The only reason I didn't have the Kings in there is because of how they kind of tailed off at the end of the season, and they didn't add anything. Like they didn't really add anybody.
Yeah,
they're just growing organically.
They added a couple of veterans, Trevor Ariza.
Yeah, they did add Ariza, so that'll be good on the defense. But I think they will improve. But I think just that kind of showed the lack of, what do you call it?
Experience, metal.
Yeah, to be able to say, okay, we have this many games left in the season. We're starting to maybe lose some games. Let's tweak it. And they kind of just kept doing the same things. So until I see that kind of jump from guys like Marvin Bagley, because I feel like it was the Buddy Hield and De'Aaron Fox show last year. I think Marvin Bagley is going to be the big piece. But until I see that, I just don't feel like they're going to contend with some of these other Western Conference teams and take one of the top 8 spots.
Yeah.
It's just going to be so heavily contested. It's kind of like the Mavericks. They're going to lose some of those close games.
I hope they get the playoffs. What were you going to say for 9?
I mean, obviously it's the Spurs.
Oh,
since I had the Mavericks in there, it's going to be obviously the Spurs. But outside of them, team like the Mavericks, Kings, OKC, they're not. They could, if they stuck with that team, they could be a playoff contender. They're moving those guys. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be an issue for them.
As much as I'm just high. I'm actually higher on the Kings than the Mavericks still. Even
Harry Giles.
Yeah.
So they did add Harrison Barnes. It was the trade deadline, but they added him.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
All right, so I guess we're gonna move on to the awards
So
predictions.
we're gonna run down the awards. We'll go a little bit quicker on these, just because it's more so who do you guys think is gonna win this particular award for Rookie of the Year? I have John Morant.
I think that's a consensus. What?
Yeah.
Since Zion
I think
went
we
down,
all have John.
I think John Morant too. I think because he's
RJ will make a little bit of a splash, but he's just not gonna
New
win enough
York.
games.
It's just
yeah.
cursed.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Michael Carter Williams win on the Sixers because he had the ball a lot and had a lot of scoring opportunity.
Ja will definitely have
RJ Barrett's not going to have that opportunity on the Knicks, I don't think, because he's playing with like a
bunch
bajillion
of
power
other guys,
forwards
right?
that want to get their offense going, namely Julius Randle. You know, Dennis Smith, he wants the ball too. So does Frank.
They just
Frank,
picked up.
yeah.
They just
So-
picked up Frankie's extension,
Frankie Smokes,
and so not his extension, but his team option.
yeah. So I think he's gonna be fighting for that. I have John Morant too, and a small reason is that he's a sophomore coming out of college, not a freshman, so he's got that extra year of development
important.
to be a little tougher.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you watch the highlight packages, people aren't going to watch the Memphis games, but they'll watch the Memphis highlights. And the highlights are going to be Jaren Jackson shooting a three, and who passed on the ball is John Morant. You know, his
He's gonna
assist
look
numbers are pretty high.
nice.
Yeah, it's going to look very nice. You know, they got to develop him.
shooting
So
a three.
that's for
Man.
sure.
Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Oh, I had this. Hold on.
DPOY.
Yeah, what do you have?
Embiid.
Yeah, I think
Same.
Because
I
he's
have
going
Embiid
to
as
anchor
well.
the best defense
Come on,
in the
guys.
league.
You
Yeah.
all look at each other's notes. Yeah, I have
No.
Embiid as well. I think he hits all-time high in games played this year. I pray he's the healthiest he's ever been. And those numbers from last year, if he can maintain those just exact same numbers from last year, because he had MVP caliber numbers last year.
He just didn't have games, yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll win the Defensive Player of the Year award because I feel like the Sixers will have the number 1 ranked defense, and he's going to be the best player on that defense, and therefore you have to name him the Defensive Player of the Year.
He's the anchor.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the consensus. You got anything else to add, Rich?
Nah, man. I'm just excited for all those long boys playing, clogging the passing lanes.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid communicating and getting those blocks. And I just love the altered shots more than anything because
Yeah,
the dude goes up,
like,
he's like, here, take it.
It's going to be the Dikembe Mutombo
Right.
of our times, guys.
Are y'all ready for the six
Six
Modi?
man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Six Modi? Who do
I
you
already said his name. I got Bogdan. Don't call me Bogdan. Bogdanovich. Or no, Bogdan. Don't call me Bojan.
Don't call me
Bojan or Boban. Don't call him that either. Yeah, on the Kings, man. I said I was high on them already, and he's gonna be coming off the bench. They extended Buddy Hield, and they're basically choosing Buddy Hield over Bogdanovich for going forward.
Mhm.
So I wonder if if he goes off, they end up trading him at the deadline for some assets. But yeah, he can shoot. It's the inverse effect of the Mavericks, like I was saying. Bogdan would start on certain teams as their 5th starter. He's coming off the bench, so I think he's going to light it up. Good story. The Kings are going to be fun to watch this year, and we all need a good story to win most of these awards. Same thing with MVP. The narrative really comes into play, and so a lot of the narratives that we see, like from previous years, Jordan Crawford, he's pretty much done winning any awards for himself. And then so is Lou Williams. He's not going to be winning 6th Man of the Year, I don't believe, because he's not going to be closing games like he was last season. It's not as fun of a narrative, but I'm all in on the Bogdan train.
I have Karis LeVert. I think,
Ooh, he's coming off the bench.
yeah, he also a very good most improved player candidate. But I think like for a team like the Nets, he's gonna have a big opportunity to handle ball. Create some scoring for them. Kind of go to work with that second string team because at first they don't have KD, but they've got a lot of ball handlers and like scores already starting. So I
Yeah.
think that'll be his time to shine, especially in the East,
It
going
helps
against that
to
kind
have
of
good
competition.
players like you see off the bench,
Yeah.
like Jared Allen
Yeah.
and Spencer Dinwiddie. So I
Yeah.
can definitely see that. I have Joe Ingles.
A 6th man?
Yeah, 6th man.
He's not starting?
Yeah,
He's
they
not
took him
starting.
off. Yeah,
He's definitely not
Yeah.
starting. They just picked up. They just extended him.
They gave him
So-
what, 1 year? It was
Yeah,
one-
I can't remember the money on it, but they just extended him, so he's got a lot of. He's motivated right now at the moment. But on top of that, like I talked about it earlier, I think he has guys that can distribute the ball. I think they'll blend him in on some secondary lineups with Mike Conley, but also Emmanuel Mudiay can distribute the ball as well. So I asked this question for you guys to kind of give you what I'm thinking, and this is like almost like, what do you call it? I can't think of the word. But if JJ Redick didn't start for those years that he was on the Clippers,
Would he
have been a 6th Man of the Year?
At least once, I think so.
So I'm not saying he's gonna play like JJ Redick because
okay.
he's not
Man,
quite that fast.
He entrapped me.
But I feel like I'm not saying Bojan. I just got your name on there. But I
Jingle
feel like
Joe.
Joe Ingles can have that same impact off the bench. Cool. So that's what I'm looking for.
A little side 6th Man of the Year that I was hoping for. I said his name earlier on the podcast too, but OG Anunoby, man, because Fred VanVleet's going to be the starting lineup. And I know that Serge Ibaka typically comes in first, But there's no rules.
The Raptors rotation changes a lot.
Yeah, and then Harrell and Lou Williams got first place 6 Man of the Year votes last season. So and
they're going to cannibalize.
There's no rules. No, I just mean like there's no rules as far as who you got to vote for. If it's really got to be the
I think
OG
Anunoby's going to be the Pascal Siakam of this year. They're going to be like, whoa, where'd this guy come from? And it's like he was there the whole time. He's just hurt.
Exactly.
He was there the whole time.
Do we have
that's a good pick.
What's our next
The
one?
last one, the big one, is going to be MVP award. Who's going to be the most valuable player?
Can we say most improved?
Oh, we're doing most improved.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that.
So just a quick one. I think it'll be Pascal Siakam. I think he's gonna make a jump from good scorer, second banana, third banana to like being in there every night. And
didn't he just get it?
Yeah. I think
get it again.
So Richard says he went from a C to a B.
Yeah.
So
now
MVP.
he's gonna go from a B
and
to
that's
an A.
the hardest thing to do.
Yeah,
Everyone's game planning for
Ben
you every
Simmons.
night. They know their your weaknesses.
That would probably be history, right?
That'd
Somebody to
be
win
pretty
back-to-back
awesome.
most
So,
improved.
that's just me being hopeful. I want the Raptors love to.
If he did that, then like the Raptors, damn, I'm gonna look real dumb not putting them in the playoffs. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a most improved, Andre?
Most improved. I had Jonathan Isaac. I think he has the most room to growth over there on Orlando. Defensively, his instincts are there. I just want to see him be a little more efficient with the ball. He's a good passer, creative for other players. I just want to see better scoring, like finishing around the rim, things like that. So,
Yeah, I just wish they didn't have so many mouths to feed down there.
Yeah, it was like Vooch, Gordon.
But it'd be nice
everyone
to see
wants theirs.
some magic happening in Orlando.
I'll pick a fun.
Who you got?
Most improved is going to be a guy that a couple of years ago had a huge impact on a team that could have won the championship, and then last year his role kind of diminished a little bit, and that's going to be Eric Gordon.
Eric Gordon.
So even though he played more minutes, I feel like he got a lot less usage last year, and I feel now with the fact that you have Russell Westbrook and James Harden, both main ball handlers, demands a little bit less from him to create his own shot. He'll be able to be spot up, and he's going to be draining them. And we're going to be like, oh, his shooting percentage, shot right back up to where it was 2 years ago. And he's going to be that impact guy that nobody's going to talk about. But hopefully when voting time comes around, people will remember that, hey, Eric Gordon's going to be that guy, that third option that you can count on to hit the clutch shot. I think he'll have some clutch shots. I think we'll have some Eric Gordon highlights that we'll be reviewing this year for sure. So Eric Gordon, and if they end up in the 1 seed, like Richard says, he'll be a big part of that.
All right, so now we got the big one.
The big one now. It's gonna be most valuable player.
Mine will be.
I feel like me and Richard are on the same.
I don't think so.
I think we're on the same spectrum on this one.
Oh, okay.
Andre, you go first.
I got Steph. I probably already know.
He's
got to have for them to be in the playoffs and do well. He's got to have an MVP level season. So if he's healthy, I think he can shatter the
I think you're right. If they make the playoffs, he'll have to go off.
Yeah.
I think he'll deserve it, but I don't think he'll win it.
I wonder
I said this a month and a half ago.
I wonder how high in the standings they'd have to go for people to feel good about giving it to him, because everyone's got a bad taste in their mouth from voting for Russell Westbrook.
I think the only way he'll win it is if he breaks Michael Jordan's points per game record for the season. That's the only way he wins it. Because other than that, I still think he deserves it, even if he doesn't break it. Like if he doesn't break 40 points per game, he'll still deserve it because he's going to be lights out. He might break his own record. We don't know. Of 3-pointers.
500 threes. What if he makes 500?
No, because people are going to be like, we shouldn't have given him unanimous MVP that time. How can we just give it to him again? Blah, blah, blah.
Right? Do it again. Fuck it.
He's not even he's not even a number. He's not going to be a top 4 seed, and we shouldn't have given it to Russell Westbrook when he wasn't. Whatever, right? They're going to use that narrative.
Well, they shouldn't have given it to Russell Westbrook.
Well, I know, but they're going to use that as the narrative. That's going to be the narrative.
No, I said it in the moment.
So for me, it's going to be the guy that leads a team to a lot of wins. And Richard, you can say yours at the same time.
Okay. Giannis.
But I think it's going to be
Davis.
You said Anthony Davis?
I do.
I thought you said Giannis.
No, Anthony Davis.
I'm going Giannis. Giannis is going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally see that. Like,
Didn't you have the Lakers like 4 seed?
I said that too. But I think so much of it is the narrative, and I think it's going to be so interesting to see them play together, that 2-man game. And it's like I said earlier, they can
cannibalize too.
No, it's a narrative thing, man.
And the narrative is going to be like, whose team is it? Well, it's still LeBron's team.
That's
blah, blah, blah. Next year, maybe when LeBron leaves, then it's Anthony Davis'
that's one team. Of them.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
One of them, but LeBron's already saying he wants to get the assist numbers up.
Yeah, he could say it all he wants.
Anthony Davis' team. LeBron's going to get his assist numbers way up. And the thing that's, I guess, kind of elusive about Anthony Davis and why some people are like, is he good? He's fucking good. But the reason that he doesn't get as much like play, especially in that small market, people are more excited about Zion now than they ever were about Anthony Davis. And Zion hasn't even played a regular season game yet. But the reason that people don't like him or liken their games to be like Anthony Davis when they're on the court, nobody says Anthony Davis or the brow when they're making a shot.
Because he just does everything well.
He does everything well, and he ends possessions fast. Like, he gets the ball at the end of the possession, and he just gets it to the rim really quickly, shoots really quickly, turn around shot, shoots a three quickly. He's not dribbling, not going through the legs. It's not as pretty to see, or it's not as flashy. So it doesn't stick in your brain and you think to Russell Westbrook, James Harden, LeBron James, Steph Curry. But he's going to have the spotlight on him, the brightest spotlight there's ever been, with the most, polarizing player and LeBron, one of the most accomplished players, LeBron James, trying to set him up all season. So I think he'll win. I think he'll have a great season, average like 30 and like 10, something crazy. Miss some games, maybe play 70 games, something like that. I think he'll win. I don't know if Giannis has the narrative, but I still think he could win. I wouldn't be surprised.
So the last time that LeBron James was going to make it somebody else's team was when he joined the Miami Heat, and he didn't win the MVP that season.
He didn't say that.
He said it was their team.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But
he didn't say it was Dwayne Wade's team, but they asked him the question, and he said, "I don't think it's anybody's team."
Yeah.
So anyway, even if he says he's going to take a back seat, ultimately the success he's found, you think LeBron James is not going to revert to the mean and say, "I found the most success when I was the number one option"?
I think he'll.
And at the first sign of adversity, he's going to take over the reins, and then we're going to see Anthony Davis be the afterthought, and he's going to be the future of the Lakers, but the Lakers now will be LeBron's.
I feel like
now let me tell you why Giannis is going to be the winner.
Right.
The reason Giannis is going to be the winner is because if he repeats exactly what he did last year, if James Harden's stats could not beat this man out for MVP, I don't see what is going to beat this man out for MVP.
Reopen the wound
and
for me.
So Giannis, if he does improve his perimeter shooting like we both think he will, there's no way he doesn't win the MVP. I don't care what the hell happens on the Lakers, because unless they win 70 games, then that's a lot. But if they win 70 games, then maybe Anthony Davis.
Maybe he can win.
But I just feel like they're gonna run over the East even more than they did last year.
I feel like LeBron has this romantic idea in his head of like Magic and Kareem on the Lakers. And now he's on the Lakers with LeBron, and he's like, Anthony Davis can have the regular season MVP in my brain, but then now I'm all rested up, gonna go to the playoffs. I'm a beast to the playoffs, and I'll win a finals.
Just remember
MVP
what I
myself.
said. As soon as the first time anniversary comes out, we're gonna start hearing playoff LeBron. And
Probably. I'm sure that's right. But
I'm just saying, a lot of people try to poke holes in Giannis's game last year when they were talking about James Harden versus him, and he still won the MVP. So now if he elevates those holes, like if he gets rid of them, like who else is going to beat this man out for MVP?
I think unfortunately for the way that the NBA is covered is that whoever gets that ball rolling as far as like the narrative in the first 2 months of the season, like they're pretty much going to win, I think. Yeah. Only time will tell. Let's go watch this Lakers game.
Yeah, let's go watch this game. It's going to be an interesting season. I hope you guys are excited as we are.
They did all this talking and stuff about to win.
We're already the fireworks are already starting on the Shotcallers show.
I'm excited.
If you guys enjoyed this podcast, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Shotcallers Show,
on Instagram at _Shotcallers. Email us at
shotcallersshow@gmail.com. Watch us on YouTube, the Shotcallers. Make sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or whatever method of podcast you prefer.
Mm-hmm.
We really appreciate it. Again, this is season 2, episode 1.
Yeah,
and we will continue to bring the content daily. If you don't follow us on Instagram, that's the number way to
Instagram,
get the daily
Twitter.
content.
Yep.
And and please inbox us, send us messages with any kind of questions, any feedback that you want to give us, but also things you want us to talk about on the show. We are going to be short a host for a week, I believe, because
I'm going to Thailand.
Andre's going to Thailand, so we need something to fill up the airwaves. Even though we're going to have a lot of basketball, we'd still we'd appreciate hearing from you guys. And if we don't answer it on next week's episode, we'll put it in our back pocket for a coming week. So keep it insightful, keep it wacky, whatever you want to say, but at Instagram, on the Instagram or the Twitter pages, whatever, however you want to reach out.
Yep. But now it's time to go watch the Battle of Los Angeles. So until next time, I'm JV.
I'm Rich.
And this is Andre.
We're the Shotcallers.